Let's welcome Anton, everyone.
Hi.
And it's time to DeFi.
Hi everyone. My presentation is not technical today as usually because I'm mostly focused on the technical side of the question. So I will talk about financial freedom and yeah, it's already here, but not everyone can see it and understand how close it actually is. What happened to DeFi in the past 3 years? I would call it skyrocketing of the technology behind the DeFi. And I believe it mostly happened because this market is still unregulated, as everyone knows. Any regulation and any restriction requires new restrictions once people discover how to avoid them, because they have like weak parts, and I'm not sure if this way is leading to something meaningful. I mean, regulation became stronger and stronger. It's like trying to fix the holes in something where there are a lot of holes. What is regulated DeFi, if it ever exists? As I said, regulation is not really a good thing for innovation, but it's also a thing which can co-live with existing solutions. Even in DeFi, some users who hear about this, they complain that regulated DeFi is not DeFi, it's impossible, but it's possible. Why not? But regulated DeFi is just a sub-DeFi. It's just sub-users, sub-protocols, sub-services. It's just small part of huge DeFi which can't be regulated because it's built mostly on technologies which do not allow any restrictions, moderations. They are free and open. DeFi is actually a freedom, such freedom which allows subset of users to play with self-restrictions. And I also want to show the core technologies, because most of the people who are not in DeFi but they're looking at this thing from the outside, they think initially that all this DeFi and crypto is about coins and their prices, but definitely it's not like this. From technical point of view, DeFi for now contains a few core technologies like decentralized exchanges and automated market makers, also money markets where you can have collateral of some asset and borrow another asset, and you can also do leverage using this. You can put Ether, borrow USDC, buy more Ether for this USDC, put it again as collateral and borrow more. You can turn your 1K of bucks to, for example, 4K of Ether and 3K debt. It's still 1K, but you have Forex exposure. You achieved like leverage thing on top of money markets. So it's like leverage protocol, but you can do it even without having leverage protocol built. You can just use money market manually to spin up your position. There are also synthetic assets. They usually bring foreign assets, like you can buy securities like Tesla, Apple assets right on blockchain. Or you can also compose synthetic assets which itself is leverage or something, but they're not fully collateralized by design. So you could get only part of the potential P&L in some cases, not in every case. And derivatives, all these things which exist in traditional finance for tens of years, since most of them were invented in Netherlands. They are now becoming available on blockchain, and they are built on different technologies. Some of them are more synthetic based, some of them are fully collateralized, and these things as options, insurance, futures and everything, it's also becoming alive on a lot of different protocols. The most famous I named here, Opium. And in traditional finance, if you would see on volumes, which happens on derivatives and on spot market, usually derivatives have like 10 times more volumes. But in crypto, it's not yet there. Derivatives are much lower than spot volumes. So I would expect in coming years, derivatives would grow tremendously, like 100 times. I'm talking about volumes on derivatives. And one more interesting concept is aggregators here. Mostly because all of these protocols, they are permissionless. It also allows other entities to interact with them in permissionless manner. So it's room for aggregation, for DEX aggregation, for derivatives aggregation, and yield aggregation, and everything. So yeah, 1inch became one of the first DEX aggregators, and it's shifted the understanding of how these things works, because most of the people, they now just use aggregators and do not enjoy all these technologies, because all these technologies are great things, but users, when they need to get specific service, they could still select, like, should they use over Aave or Compound, should they use Uniswap or Curve. It's a bit complicated for them, mostly because I just mentioned few of the protocols. There are much more protocols, much more forks, modified forks, much more own technologies, even own development. There is a huge room for aggregators to make the best decisions for users. Thank you. That's it. It was like quick introduction of existing technologies in DeFi and why DeFi became like skyrocketing of the technology of the finance nowadays instead of fintech, which is not growing significantly or maybe at all.
Thank you so much.
I have a question for you. What do you think is the future of DeFi? So you listed the history, right? So we had this and we had this. What do you see is the future?
It's like existing huge sectors of DeFi. It's like core technologies. I hope to see more core technologies which is not existing yet. Some of these technologies were borrowed from traditional finance, like some of DEXs, they are order book based, and this is how it was in traditional finance and how it is in traditional finance. For example, automated market maker, it's not like trading with some kind of bot on centralized exchange. It's much different. AMM is like highly available service on chain with liquidity provided. It's like availability is 100%, comparing to any other solution on centralized exchange or any other market. And also money markets. The core idea of money marketing, when you can provide, it's like mutual borrowing pools. So people put their assets in the pools and borrow from another pools. This concept existed, but it was hidden behind banks and other structures. But these technologies, they bring all these cool ideas which can be accessed by users, and they are implemented in smart contracts. This means that there is no anyone between those who are mutually borrowing from each other. It's like there is no actual middlemen here. Users interact with other users using the smart contracts, which can't be actually called middlemen because they're like it's like first time in human history we have programmable thing which behaves exactly as it was programmed. Not it can be interrupted. And I think we will see more core technologies. You see, it's only few technologies. There are like hundreds, even thousands of different projects, but number of core technologies is pretty small. It's like 5, 6, 7. I hope to see new core technologies which were never existed before. So that's why they're not appeared. No one knows how they look like. We know it will be great. It will be very interesting thing from point of view of developers, software engineers who build the thing. This is the most interesting thing in whole possibly programming areas.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Anton, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.